Hi, everyone. This is May Dalio. Thanks for being on live today. And if you're watching the replay, that's great. We're going to talk about a summary of economic principles, how the economic machine works by Ray Dalio. Okay, so that's actually a video online at economicprinciples.org. If you go there, you can see the video. It's 30 minutes long, so I will make this summary less than 30 minutes long so that you get a summary of the 30-minute video. But you should definitely watch the video. It's a very good video. Okay, it's at economicprinciples.org. So my name, as I said, is May Dalio. All right, and my blog is yesfinanciallyfree.com. My YouTube channel is Creative Abundance Now, so go ahead and follow, subscribe if you're on the channel. I only have great videos that are super awesome, highly educational, and very fun. Okay, now let me talk a little bit about who I am and why I'm talking about this, and then we'll get right into the summary. All right, so I live in Honolulu, Hawaii. It is a beautiful sunny day. I can see the Alawai Canal and Diamond Head from my window, and then Waikiki Beach is a couple blocks down. And it's actually getting hotter, so I'm actually kind of hot right now, so I might just turn the fan on while I'm talking to you. But I also want to tell you a little bit about my story. So I used to be really bad with money. I used to have credit card debt. I used to have about over $40,000. In 2011, January, I found some old paperwork, and I had gone to credit counseling. I had 8 or 9 different debts that totaled over $40,000. Okay, and that was January 11th, I think, or January 2011. And at the time, I was a bank assistant. I worked at First Hawaiian Bank here in Hawaii, and I didn't make that much in my salary. I made like $34,000 or something like that, and that's before taxes are taken out. So $41,000 in debt was a lot for me. Now, none of that debt was good debt. It was all credit cards, lines of credit. I had no property or anything like that. So I got kind of depressed about it all, but I found steps to improve and create I started focusing on financial freedom instead of debt. Long story short, 2011 held the debt. 2016, I got rid of all the debt, paid it all back. Not only that, we were making almost $500 a month in passive income. Our net worth had improved. My husband and my net worth had improved. I wasn't married to him in 2011. I married him in 2012. His debt was even more than mine. He had over $200,000 of debt. Okay, but by 2016, we had no debt. Not only that, we had improved our net worth by $500,000. And not only that, like I said, passive income almost $500. I quit my job in December 23rd, 2016, and I started coaching mastermind groups on how to become financially free as quickly as possible. So I've been blogging about financial freedom for years. Long before I quit, I was blogging. So my blog, I've still been doing it. I've been blogging for years now, amazingly enough. You can check it out at yesfinanciallyfree.com. So if you're interested in something in particular, you want to know how to make passive income, you know, I know about mindsets, you want videos to reprogram your brain while you sleep, you know, something, whatever, go there, right? And put your name on the right side and your email address. Get on my email list because I email out when I do these lives. And I email great emails. They're very witty. They're very funny. They're very interesting. So go get on my email list, and then you'll get a schedule when I do lives. I do it mostly once a week, and I do it on different channels. So today I'm live on my blog and on YouTube. So if you're on my blog, you're watching this live because YouTube live, or on YouTube. Wherever you are, subscribe to the channel, all right? And definitely get on the email list, and then you'll be all up to date. So that's my story in a nutshell. What I do is I'm a mommy. I have a son. When I quit my job, one of the reasons I quit is I want to spend more time with him. I took him out of school. He was in preschool when he was 3. He kept getting sick. So he wasn't even there most of the time. So I took him out of preschool and at 4, and I stayed with him. We went to the beach, the zoo, aquarium. We just had a good time for a year. And he got healthier because, you know why? He was happy. I got healthier. My husband got healthier. All 3 of us stopped going to the doctor. We saved hundreds a month in medical co-pays and all kinds of stuff. Plus, we were healthier, happier. Life was better. I got to cook, you know, at home more because I didn't work a job. And I didn't know. It's been awesome. All right, so let's talk about things. Oh, one more thing. We bought our first. I bought my first condo in Waikiki 2017. Second condo 2018, which is an Airbnb business. We converted the first one into an Airbnb business too. Then we had 2 Airbnb businesses. I sold the first condo we were living in. That was also an Airbnb business to the manager, who was also one of my clients. So he got a profitable business. And then we bought this condo we live in now, which is twice the size. It's the nicest place I've ever, I think, lived in, because it's really nice inside, but it's really nice outside. The beach is out there. We have a surfboard locker. We have a locker downstairs. You can put other things in it, but we put our surfboards in it, and we went surfing. There was surf last week. We went out, caught some waves. There's no surf today, but whenever there's surf, we're like out there. We caught some waves. I saw a sea turtle, right? I was out there surfing with my husband, and I saw a sea turtle lift his head up. And I paddled over, and there he was swimming under my board. It was the most amazing thing ever. So just to kind of give you an idea. Okay, so let's talk about this, and then we're done. If you want to know more about me and learn more about me, like I said, go to the blog, yesfinanciallyfree.com. Get on the email list. You can email me anytime. I do respond to emails, and I do check my emails regularly, okay? All right, so a summary of economic principles how the Economic Machine Works by Ray Dalio. Now, Ray Dalio was introduced to him from the book Tony Robbins' Money Master the Game. He recommended going see the video. I watched the video, and I was like, wow, now I know how the economy works. So a lot of people have been nervous, especially this past week, when last week the Dow Jones went down, the stock market went down 10%, I guess they said, lost 10% of its value in a week. People were freaking out. I know, because one of my friends texted me on Monday last week and said he sold all his stock, his Vanguard stock, put it all in gold. I was like, okay. So if he did that, that makes sense that the stock market would be down 10%. All these people are fleeing the market. So what's going on, and how does Ray Dalio help us understand the economy? So I'm going to give you a real quick summary. All right. So there are cycles. The first thing he talks about is what makes up the economy. It's just transactions, okay? Buying and selling. You have something to sell, somebody buys it from you. When money changes hands, that's transactions. And these transactions, all the transactions looked on together, the big picture is the economy. So that's his first lesson. By the way, the video he has is a cartoon. So go ahead, watch. It's only 30 minutes long. Check it out, okay? Anyway, first, transactions, buy, sell, okay? The next thing he talks about is credit and debt, right? Which is the same thing, but different sides. So say you wanted to go to a bar and you want to buy a beer. You could use money and buy the beer, and that would be a transaction using cash. But you could also do it where you say, hey, I'll pay you later, put it on my tab, right? And that's credit. So you're borrowing the beer and you promise to pay back later to the bartender, right? So that's credit. Now, Ray Dalio says in his video that credit is by far used for most transactions, by far. He has like this graph where credit is like this big and cash is like this small. In the economy, credit is used way more than cash, okay? So that was another thing I learned from that video, which doesn't surprise me, but anyway. So we're a very credit-based economy. And because of credit, we have cycles, right? And he said if we were all cash-based economy, if we didn't have credit, everything would kind of go like this. Our economy would just progress upward, because as we become smarter and better at creating things, we just would increase our economic growth and everything would just go like this. But because we have debt and credit, right? Debt is the person who owes the money. Credit is the person who they owe to, right? Credit, debt, right? Same thing, but opposite sides. We have cycles, economic cycles, okay? So economic cycle happens, there's small economic cycle and then there's a big economic cycle. The small economic cycles happen during the big economic cycle. So it's like a wave, okay? So this is a small wave and then there's this big wave. So he's saying 1914, the Great Depression, right? That was part of a big wave where we went down, right? Like one of those tidal waves. And then we have little waves along the way, on the way down and on the way up, all right? So 2008, the housing crisis was another big tidal wave, right? So, and then we went up little bits and down little bits. Those are the cycles. Okay, so there's a big cycle and then there's a bunch of little cycles. So Ray Dalio, I've watched some videos that he said, right now we're in a little cycle. We're not in a big cycle. We're in a little cycle. And there's usually about, he says there's like about 9, but you never know for sure. But there's about 9 cycles before you get to the big turning point cycle. So this cycle is the first cycle after the great 2008 crash. And he said it would take about 10 years for each inning. He uses baseball's analogy. But basically what's happened is people use credit. They get credit, easy credit. They use it, and then they abuse it, and then they can't pay it back. And then what happens when they can't pay it back? Economic activity goes down, right? So you have money and you get easy money. You get lots of credit. So you go buy stuff, lots of stuff. And then one day you realize you can't pay back your credit card bills. Right? So I understand this completely because I did this. If you heard the beginning of this video, I told you I was in debt and I got rid of it, except that I have a really good memory, so I don't get into debt anymore. But anyway, so there's this cycle. You borrow, you're on a borrowing high. And then you realize I can't borrow anymore. I can't pay it back. I hate borrowing. I don't want to do this anymore, right? So in order to increase economic activity, which is no longer going up because people aren't buying stuff because they have no more credit, right? The federal government will lower interest rates. And as you know, yesterday, maybe you don't know, they lowered interest rates 0.5%, which is a huge drop. I guess it was an emergency drop because usually they lower it 0.25%, but they lowered it 0.5%. So this is an emergency, right? So they lower the interest rate. Usually, in a little cycle, when you lower the interest rate, that fixes the problem. Everyone's interest payments go down. They can afford their credit payments. They already were at a point where they couldn't, so now that they can afford it, they're more conservative. They can pay their credit payments. Everybody's still good. They're not freaking out anymore. Everything's handled. And then they go back through the cycle. Once they pay it off, they start spending more money, and then they go through it. So that's how a little cycle works, right? Credit, easy credit, buy. Oh my God, I can't pay. Fed lowers the interest rate. Okay, I can pay, I'll pay it off. Okay, I paid it off, now I'll spend again. And that's how that little cycle goes. Does that make sense to you guys? Little cycle. And then when everything's good, the Fed will increase the rate, which they did for a little bit, right? And then they stopped. So that's like one cycle, right? Okay, so these little cycles keep going as the economy goes up. And then you have this big tank. The big tank is called a deleveraging. You have a great deleveraging. Now, what is a deleveraging? A deleveraging is when businesses shut down, like Lehman Brothers, whatever you call them. You have Enron. You have terrible things happen. Things just, banks shut down, the government saves, like the housing crisis, which is the most recent memory, right? In the during the Great Depression, I think that was 1914-ish, right? Sometime around that, whenever it was. During the Great Depression, a lot of businesses went out of business. They just no longer could do business. So Great Depressions, Great Recessions, great deleveraging is when things get shut down, things get really bad. Okay, so he has a better explanation than I do, but that's roughly the idea, okay? So you got little cycles caused by people's spending habits, which is human nature. He'll say it's human nature. People just do that. And then finally, you get to a point where they just can't handle it. They can't handle the debt. It's too much. And the Fed can't lower the interest rate any lower because it's already at zero, which happened during the housing crisis and happened during the Great Depression. Hence, you get the great deleveraging. You cannot lower the interest rate anymore. If you are over leveraged and you cannot pay back, then you get deleveraged. So that's why the word deleveraged. So you have to pay back all those debts. Yeah. How do you pay back debts? He has 3 ways. Let's see if I can remember them all. Okay. One is the banks just restructure. The banks say, okay, I'd rather have you pay me something than nothing. So I know you owe me 1,000. Give me 100. We'll call it even. Okay. So they're like, okay, I know you can't pay me back the whole thing. So pay me back part of it. All right. So that's one thing. Debts get restructured. So the people who lent the money get back less, but they just call it even. Because if they don't, the other person's going to be like, well, I can't pay, so forget, I won't even pay you anything, right? That's the first. Second, people start spending less money. They squeeze their spending. And that actually makes things worse because the economy is already having problems, and the less transactions, the less money people make, and everything kind of goes down, right? So that's the third way. People stop spending. People restructure debts. Yeah. And then the last one is they tax the rich. They move the money from the rich to the poor, right? The government might increase taxes on the rich to move the money over. The rich get resentful. And these are the things that happen during a great deleveraging. Also, major things happen. Wars, epidemics, things like that. Okay? Now, he says you want to have a beautiful deleveraging. A beautiful deleveraging is when you don't have a war, right? We don't want world war. We don't want women and children and men and anyone dying in huge amounts of violence. So a beautiful deleveraging is like the great financial crisis where we didn't have war break out and nobody was killed because of wanting to steal other people's country's wealth. Okay. Now, he did mention in a video that I watched recently that we're going to have cycles, right? And he was saying this cycle, he wasn't sure exactly what would happen, but he was kind of nervous. So maybe it is this virus. Maybe this is the thing to create the cycle's downspin, but we shall see. My hairdresser, I got a haircut yesterday. He said his business was already decreasing before the whole virus scare. So it might just be a cycle, just like he said. So watch the video. That's basically the whole video right there. Transactions create the economy. There is way more credit than cash transactions. The credit causes the cycles because people borrow too much money, right? They can't pay it back. And when the interest rates go to zero and no one can help anymore, the Fed can't adjust the rate anymore. Oh, they also can print more money. Sorry. During a great deleveraging, the government can print more money. That is another technique they use. How do they print more money? They just decide to print more money. They use that. They cannot just use it to buy things. What they do is they buy back bonds, their treasury bonds. And that's how they put more money in the system, by buying back their own securities with the money they print. That's why we have $1 trillion debt in the United States. It's all owed to ourselves because we're printing more money and buying our own debt back. So he has this magical way of explaining the economy. I hope that helped you understand it. I did this in less than 30 minutes, but I do highly recommend you watch the video yourself. However, Ray Dalio isn't as cute as me, right? And I'm a girl, so hey, there's a lot of benefits watching me tell you about it. You might not have known about it, so go check it out. How the Economic Machine Works by Ray Dalio. Okay? And check out my blog, yesfinanciallyfree.com. Get on the right side, put in your name, email address, get on my email list for more great videos. You're going to find out exactly when I'll broadcast. I already told my email list my whole broadcasting live schedule. I emailed them yesterday. Yeah, I told them I would be live today on YouTube. And in about 10 more minutes, I'll be live on Periscope. Okay, if you want to catch me there, you're welcome to. On Periscope, I get a lot of people talking to me back and forth. So you can always ask questions, talk to me on Periscope. I also walk around a little. I show the view out of my window because it's on my phone. That's another thing. Tomorrow I'll be live on Instagram. My Instagram channel is May-Duldalao. Periscope is May-Duldalao. Meydulduldulao. That's how you find me on Periscope, Instagram. I will be live on Facebook on Friday, all at 11. So it's going to be fun. All week I'll be talking about this topic. If you didn't catch it, if you want to talk to me, the other lives are very interactive. You can just shoot out things. Here you can too, I guess, but everyone's quiet. Okay, thank you for being on today. Subscribe to the channel. I hope you have a great day. Aloha.